This podcast is powered by The Plug, The Connect with Graffiti. My man, Terrance Roberts. Man, we finally here, man.
Yep.
We finally got it done. You know, we've been working on it for a minute, but timing is divine, my brother. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm doing great.
Good. So for the people out there watching, listening, don't know who you are, tell them a little bit about yourself.
I am from Northeast Denver, mainly the Park Hill area. But if you're from Denver, we all grew up in the 5 Points, in Park Hill, in Montbello, Green Valley Ranch. I even lived in Aurora.
Right.
You know, so, but I primarily grew up in the Park Hill area. Was an honor roll student. When gangster rap came, the tribalism, I like to, because it's deeper than gang violence. It's a community tribal behavior, and it's not just a black or brown behavior. It's a poverty behavior. But once gangster rap came and street gangs and Crips and Bloods in Northeast Denver, joined the local gang in Park Hill. I was a Blood. Started selling drugs, got involved with the violence, got shot in my back in the summer of violence in 93. Before I was even healed from that shooting, I got shot again in my arm. Not long after that, I ended up getting incarcerated, going to prison. I was actually one of the first adjudicated juveniles who did adult time, but I was only in the Denver County Jail. I didn't go to state or federal prison. But once I got out on that case, I ended up going to prison for a robbery case, and for the next 10 years, I spent my life in and out of prison.
Right.
So my last prison stint, I was looking at the habitual criminal. I had got caught with a Mac 11, and I had gotten into an argument with another guy who was from my same gang, actually, that I used to be from.
Right.
And he went to his car. I thought he was retrieving a weapon. I shot up his car. He was in it. They gave me like a weapons case. They dismissed the shooting case, and I got a 7-year sentence for that. And when I went to jail, I started studying people like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Jimmy Carter, just all these different revolutionaries. And really the reason why I became a gang member in the first place is because we were given this spiel like, oh, being a Blood is about the blood of our people, and we got to protect Park Hill not from the white man or from these other people or the system. We have to protect Park Hill from other black men, from the Crips. Exactly. Yeah. And these are guys we grew up with. Played basketball with them, football with them for the Pirates, Prince Hall, the Falcons, the Blackhawks. We all went to the same schools. We all had to use Martin Luther King Boulevard, Colorado Boulevard.
Literally our brothers.
Our brothers, our cousins. Literally, there's families where one brother's a Crip and one's a Blood. So once I started really realizing the tribalism and the games that have been played on us as a people and me personally, I really got away from the gangs, and I wanted to become a revolutionary, not just an activist.
Right.
I really fell in love with revolutionary actions. So I started organizing in prison. I knew I could get different races and different gangs together when I got baptized, actually, in Fremont.
Right.
I was in prison in Kansas City, and when I got baptized, hundreds of gang members came, even some Aryan Brotherhoods. It was crazy. So some Serenios came, Northsiders. Wow. Because I was cool with so many different cliques of people, and I invited everybody like, yo, because I was a shower porter in Fremont, so I had access to the entire prison. I could go to every cell house and clean their showers. Right. So other inmates cannot go do that, but I could. So I got cool with so many different people and different. Then I was like going to church, and I was cool with the Muslim brothers. We was building together and studying and different things. And when I got baptized, I invited all these different groups, and hundreds of gangsters came to my baptism, man. And
that's powerful.
That was a lot of love.
That says something about you as a person, though. I mean, have you always kind of had that leadership ability just to gather people, you know what I mean? Or what you think made it so that people flock to you in that way, you know what I mean?
Man, I'm gonna be honest, I never tried to be like, I'm the leader. I never liked people with that energy either. Like, I never have gotten along with people who want to force leadership or be a bully or snootiness or any of that. That stuff does rub me the wrong way. I'm in my 40s and I'm still struggling with that kind of energy.
Right.
I've never wanted to be the leader, but if somebody is supposed to be the leader and they're supposed to be gathering people or keeping the peace or protecting the women, and if that's not what they're doing, then too often I found myself being the one like, you're not doing it right.
Right.
And it's hurt me. I've lost some fights. I've lost some arguments. I've been slandered because, leaders and bullies and tough people, not all leaders are bullies, but I'm
Right.
saying people with those mind states, they do have resources and power, and they have a certain mentality. But I don't mind getting under good leadership. If it's good leadership, I wouldn't be running for mayor if there was someone running for mayor that I knew
Right.
would do the things that we need to do for especially Black Denver, and I'm not ashamed of saying that.
Exactly. And we're gonna hold on. We're gonna get to that.
We're gonna get to that.
We're gonna build up to that part. So I wanted to key in on something you just said. You know, when there's a saying like, you know, the one that goes through the door first catches the bullet or catches the arrow or whatever.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. You know, in certain areas when you say Terrance Roberts, it's just controversy. It's slander. And you know, coming from that gang background to then being a peace activist, you know, and kind of speaking against that, there's a lot that comes with that. So if you want to just talk about that a little bit, just kind of how the streets look at that type of transition.
Yeah. So now it's a little different. It's when I first got out of prison, and you know, because growing up, man, like I had a nickname that, you know, my friends called me Showbiz or Biz, and then that became a bigger character than who I was. And it got to the point to where people cared or knew more about Showbiz, the character that I created. I created that character as I was a child when I became Showbiz. But when I got out of prison as a grown man, and I had a grown man mentality, and there were Bloods I grew up with and Crips, they literally didn't even know my name was Terrance. And so when I'm introducing myself to them and I'm telling them, hey, my name is Terrance, they were cracking up, literally laughing at me. Now some of these same guys are activists themselves, and they didn't understand the vision at that time, or, you know, because now activism is an industry, and it does bring you media attention, and it does, and I can't be in Park Hill doing block parties and all that, so it's good that we have people like K-Tone and Dane Washington and all these other people who have picked up that mantle, because that's not where I am anymore, but I was there. When no one was filling that void, I stepped into that place. And I don't think people seen the vision. I don't think some of the Bloods and Crips seen it, but some of them did see it. You know, for the ones that did see it, like the hat you're wearing, we adopted the camouflage. I did a trip to Port-au-Prince, Haiti.
Okay. Yeah, I was definitely going to try to ask you about that.
And so we were already wearing green and orange, all right, because green and orange, we thought it looked good. It was like a neutral color. We could get the Crips and the Bloods to wear it. Our program was in Park Hill, so all the streets in Park Hill are named after plants or trees, even the holly, ash, albion, elm, all of those. Ivy, poplar. We call it popular, but it's poplar. That's a plant. Pontiac is a plant. So we were just wearing that for the community. When I went to Haiti, I told the Prodigal Son kids, hey, man, there's activists out there who are wearing camouflage, and we're giving people rice and food, because there's really no food in Port-au-Prince. That's a whole different story. And so it was the kids in the program who were like, well, let's start wearing camouflage shirts. So I ordered a box. It was like maybe 50 or 60. And I had like a bunch of kid sizes and like a few adult sizes. And it was just a straight regular camouflage T-shirt. And our logo was the hand of God holding up the city of Denver. And I had like the gold lettering that we have on this shirt. I had it on the on our camouflage shirts. And you know, it was actually, we got this logo off of my Prodigal Son logo. We just changed it. So it was like the city of Denver in gold, and it was shining. And first our Prodigal Son kids were wearing it, but then we started having Crips and Bloods who were from Park Hill, like Bloods from Park Hill and Crips from the 5 Points area, East Side area. Their kids were in the program. They were like, give us the shirts. So then the Bloods and the Crips started rocking bandanas. So we got the CR hats. You know what I mean? And that was just for Colorado. It became a movement, Colorado repping. So what I was doing was I bought a bunch of New Era hats. I didn't want like cheap, because now they have good quality hats that you could get made. But back then, New Era was the only, if it wasn't New Era, man, it was garbage. So, and I knew like rappers and people like that were not going to wear like some cheap gear. We wanted them to wear it. So man, I was pulling up on Interstate Ike, you know, DJ K-Tone, you name it. Nike Nitty. I was going to Aurora. I just had a box of New Era hats. Midas. I was meeting people in traffic, like, what's up? Pulling up to the barbershops and giving people fitted hats. And I got a grant for $5,000 to actually buy the gear.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so well, it was like more like a peace initiative. So we probably shouldn't have been buying so many hats and t-shirts.
yeah.
But I was like, you know what? These hats and these shirts are going to save, even if it's one life.
Oh yeah.
And so, man, we started seeing people opening up for big acts, rocking camo.
Rocking the hats.
So I was going to Chicago, going to Los Angeles at the time, going to Watts. They started doing a development project in Watts, and this is around the time we were cleaning up the Holly from the Crips burning it down. Mm-hmm. So when I was able to get that land use agreement and we built the peace courts, those basketball courts, and when we got the $5 million for the youth center, it really showed some progress.
Right.
And that's when we were able to get a lot of people locally to get on that camouflage, man. And it wasn't
it's
at
a
that
hell of a
time.
movement.
You know, you asked if it was like hard to get, you know, the brothers and sisters together. Initially, it kind of was because, man, we're talking about Crips who've never really been east of Colorado Boulevard unless
No
they
type
was
of
like
positive
bypassing.
interaction. Yeah.
We're talking about Bloods who've never really been on the 5 Points. Born and raised in Denver, never been west of Colorado Boulevard, really. They didn't feel safe.
Right.
So really for us to do our events, like when we did the Hill to Hood Peace March in 2010, we had Favor there. We had all the rappers, DJs, Crips, different kind of Crips who didn't get along with each other, and Bloods. And not all the Bloods get along too. Man, we had everybody there. We met on Colorado Boulevard, had a big old picnic. That
Beautiful
was the first time we ever got that many Bloods and Crips together.
Yeah.
And after that, man, it was a movement until other elements broke it up a few years later. But it's still a movement.
It's still a movement. I think, you know, like I said, I wear it unconsciously. Like I didn't even piece two and two together that you know that I'm wearing it talking to you. But I think that camo CR, it just represented the unity, you know, and it still represents the unity. I want to go back. You mentioned the Prodigal Son initiative. Let's talk about what that is.
Yeah, so the Prodigal Son Initiative, that was when I was Bible studying in prison, that became my favorite story. The story of the Prodigal Son, if you didn't know, is in the book of Luke, and it talks about how the son who, even though his father was not dead yet, so he wasn't even due his inheritance, told his dad, which is, if you break it all down, is very disrespectful, to say, Dad, give me my inheritance. You're not even dead yet. I don't want to help you with the field, do none of that. I need my money now. So his dad gave him his share of the inheritance and said, all right, your son, go ahead. It says that he took the money and went off with riotous, wasteful living. That's what prodigal really means. It's like wasteful and different things. So he wasted his inheritance, and it said that he was literally like feeding pigs and eating the pig slop. He was just down and out. He was a bum. He was homeless. And I really resonated with that story because it says that he said when he came to his senses. So that's where that saying comes from. Like, are you out of your mind? Like, come to your senses. The Bible says when he came to his senses, he's like, man, even if my father just let me work, just let me in. And the father is symbolic of God, you know. And it said that when his father seen him afar off, that his father had tears in his eyes and ran to him and fell upon him with a hug. And I will do that with one of my children, like, you know, and God did that, I feel, for me, right? So it said that he gave him a brand new robe, a royal, some brand new shoes. You know how we are with shoes.
Yeah, for sure.
He put some new shoes on his feet, and he gave him a signet ring, which simplifies that he is part of the family. Excuse me. And so that story really resonated with me, man. And when I got out of prison, I named my nonprofit the Prodigal Son Initiative, because we're all the prodigal son. Like,
definitely.
All of us are in our own way. Like, you know, so, and it was my initiative. You know, it was an initiative that we were all doing. So really, I was saying to all the Crips and Bloods, like, man, we all prodigal sons. Like, we need to come home. Like, the 5 Points is your home. The East Side, that's your home. Like,
right.
You know, no disrespect to the Crips, but Cripping is that's attached to the community. That without the 5 Points hosting it, it doesn't have a host. What's more important is the 5 Points being the blood.
Right.
I didn't even know what a blood was until I was 11. I had never heard of Bloods and Crips. We're not from Los Angeles.
Right.
They didn't make it to Denver till the mid to late 80s. They didn't even make it to New York till 93. That's why they're called the 9 Trey Bloods. Yeah. So my thing was, let's come home to the community. Right. You know, and it resonated with brothers and sisters. And the camouflage was a bandana that Bloods and Crips felt respectable wearing the gear.
It's peace.
And it worked, man. And so we were taking kids. Now, our main objectives was actually not to get gang members together. Yeah. That just came naturally. We weren't even focused on, let's just do a peace treaty. Because that kind of language a lot gets rejected by the hitters.
Right.
Because if you're going to stop a war, it's really their decision not to do the shootings. It's not Terrance being an activist or the police rolling around. The police being rolling around
Right.
and people being murdering each other. We would just say, man, just come through, bro. Come with the kids. Like,
Yeah.
I hope y'all ain't going to do nothing to each other when your niece and your nephew and all these babies is around, because this is deeper than gangbanging.
Just peace on good faith.
And so, man, we was taking Bloods and Crips, hiking, rafting, rock wall climbing, doing hill to hood movements. The rappers got involved, and it just naturally violence just decreased.
Right.
Because it was a community effort. It wasn't us punking no one or shaming nobody or disrespecting the gangs.
Just everybody was accepted.
It was just like, man, we just having fun. If you don't want to come, that's fine. Like,
Right,
but
right,
if you
right.
do want to come, we just ask that. Don't do nothing because somebody's kids is gonna be around. Because it's gonna be deeper than us.
Yeah.
You're gonna do something to somebody, and what if somebody's daughter, or their niece, or their nephew standing there? You're gonna be dealing with a different element.
Yeah.
And people understood that. So the only time we had an incident at any event I've ever planned was me having to defend myself in the Holly.
Hold that real quick, because that's definitely what I wanted to get into. Like transparent conversation.
Yeah.
I definitely want to have that convo, watching your growth, watching everything you're doing and the campaign and everything that's going forward. If you just want to let people know the actual story, because I know, if you're looking up Terrance Roberts and you're Googling, it's the elephant in the room that's going to pop up. So from your words, if we can get, what happened during that situation.
Yeah, I mean, so people do need to read the book, The Holly.
For sure.
It is a 400-page book. It's a little read, but it has a lot of research in the book that proves what did happen, not only to our community, because it's not just what happened to me.
For sure.
What happened to me
through the community
was symbolic of what's happened to many activists since the 50s, since the 60s, since the 70s. But it really crumbled our community because the energy that you knew we had with that camo movement,
For sure.
you know that it's not the energy that Denver had after I had to defend myself.
Right.
And it does not have that energy to this day. Okay,
Right.
so what happened was when we did start doing the development with the Prodigal Son, when we started building the peace courts in the Holly, when I secured the $5 million, it wasn't just me, but it was my idea to build a youth center, and I met with Libby Anschutz. Her father is Philip Anschutz, who's the billionaire, AEG Live, Anschutz Entertainment Group. He built the hospital on Colfax, the Children's Hospital, the VA. So he's worth billions of dollars. He's the richest man in Colorado. He's the one who gave us the $5 million for the youth center in the Holly.
Nice.
Okay, and that's why it's called the Nancy P. Anschutz Center. All right, but it's the Boys and Girls Club Center. But when we started getting those successes, this is around the time when Trayvon Martin got killed. I did a huge protest. It ended up from East High School north to east at the Martin Luther King statue. We ended up taking it all the way through downtown. There was a picture of me and the now defunct Rocky Mountain News, and there was like a guy next to me with a sign that said, the Denver police are Denver's biggest gang. So the police started harassing me. And I wasn't even doing so much civil rights work. We were doing more anti-gang work.
Right.
But when he got killed, we did this protest. The police started harassing me, started pulling up to my office, parking in a car there. So me and the police started really having fallouts. They started putting kids on the curb. So there were some girls who were wearing some red East High School jackets. We know they're not Bloods.
Right.
These are some girls who are on the basketball team. And the police went on my basketball courts, which is private property, and put them on the curb and had them sitting on the curb for like an hour, all in the sun. It was hot, but yet we got 20 Bloods standing across the street, whooping, whooping, yelling and screaming,
Right.
laughing. They talking crap to the police. The police aren't saying nothing to them, but they got these little girls on the curb. So we got into it, and one of the police was a sister, actually. So the sister actually ended up getting murdered by a Park Hill Blood at Jazz in the Park, because some Bloods had killed a couple Crips. This one rapper named 720 and another brother. So then the Crips were retaliating on the Bloods, and they jumped on this brother. They shot a Blood in the face in the Holly that day. Then when they were jumping this other brother at Jazz in the Park, he killed her. So I did a memorial for this sister. She was from Detroit. She was a Denver police. So I'm not against the police. I'm against police murdering black people.
Right.
Same way I feel about Crips and Bloods. I'm not against Crips and Bloods. If you murdering black people, you're going to hear from us. And we ain't going to warn you. You're going to wake up one day, and you're going to be like, whoa, Terrance and them is on your helmet.
Right.
That's how I get out, right? So when I did this protest, the Bloods started calling me a snitch. So I've never worked for the police. Come to find out, some of these Bloods that were calling me a snitch were literally actually working as informants for the police.
Damn.
And it's provable. We have the paperwork. I've posted it. That's some of the politics around my name. Because I'm not here to battle with Bloods and Crips or the police, but I'm not. If you're murdering black people, I'm gonna stand up to you. I'm not a rapper. I'm a revolutionary. And no disrespect to the rap community, but I'm not that. Okay, so. I started having arguments with the Bloods. I didn't understand the attack. I didn't understand it was a coordinated attack against me because the police started not liking me because of my protesting of them. But then the Bloods started disliking me just because they want to be activists. I'm not a Blood anymore. Somebody's jealous. Somebody's mama done liked my post. Somebody's baby's mama done came to the office. Whatever. It's all the things, right?
Right.
So I started having arguments with the Bloods. Mind you, I have my office spaces there. We're doing a development across the street. And I just built a $350,000 park called the Peace Courts. 2 basketball courts. We have 2 playgrounds, family area, all the things. So soccer field. And me and the Bloods started having these arguments to where I'm like, well, y'all can't come north of 33rd. Because that's private property. So I'm telling the police.
Right.
And I'm telling you, I don't want to see the police or the Bloods. So they're calling me a snitch. I'm telling them, you guys are working for the police. You are the police. So now we're calling each other snitches. So when I did this this One Love Black Unity rally, I had already invited them before we started arguing to come to my rally. And when we got to the rally, when me and DJ K-Tone were setting up, they had already left notes there. They had already been over there because they knew I was doing the rally.
Yeah.
And we yelling that we calling each other snitches back and forth. And so when I was trying to explain to K-Tone, like, bro, these brothers is tripping. They just left this note with this knife. And he's like, what are you talking about? We were unloading his truck, actually. And here come a bunch of Bloods.
They left a note with a knife?
Yeah, they left a note in a half-eaten rotisserie chicken with a knife that said snitch-ass nigga, bitch-ass nigga. So I put it in my pocket. K-Tone pulled up. We were there. That's when we were actually unloading his truck, and that's when I found it. So K-Tone wasn't understanding what was going on because he doesn't know I'm arguing with these Bloods.
Yeah.
Because K-Tone's not a gang member. He's not in the Holly every day, right? So I'm trying to explain to him, like, bro, these cats is tripping. But when I found it, they weren't there yet. They were all across the street. And so he was like, what are you talking about? Then right when I was explaining to him, like, hey, bro, let me tell you, like, these dudes is doing this and that. That's when they came around the corner from all sides that were coming. And it's on camera. That's kind of part of the documentary. But a lot of people if you didn't come to my trial, you don't know that it's on camera, them attacking me.
Right.
So even the young man who I had to shoot, which he was an adult, and he already had like a couple of child abuse cases. He's in prison right now for beating to death and murdering, torturing and murdering his girlfriend's 2-year-old daughter for coming home from work late.
Yeah, I'm familiar,
but when he came around the corner, I asked him, I'm like, why are you doing this to me? Because I was cool I wasn't tripping on the Bloods but once y'all start calling me a snitch, and I was younger then, like this was 10 years ago, so my attitude was like, F y'all, like, quit playing with me.
we know what that snitch word carries, and what I mean?
No, they were. Yeah. I could been with my daughter and got my car could have got, because that's what they were trying to do. Get me shot in my car, whatever. Anybody could have did anything to me. Now I was protesting the police. They were working for the police and actively gangbanging. So of course now we're arguing about it. So I'm not in a gang, but it became almost a gang type of feeling, because now it's camouflage over here, and which really hurt with all the different rappers and all that.
Right.
Because now it's like, man, we got to deal with these Bloods and all that, because that is part of the industry.
And it put a different stigma on what we were saying.
It changed the energy.
Yeah, the unity that we seen in that camo, it was being looked at as something negative.
But people need to understand that was because of people who worked for law enforcement came to dismantle that, and there's evidence of it.
Right.
So once we got to doing that, so I asked him, I'm like, why are you doing this to me? And K-Tone was standing there, and there was another brother who was cooking my food. So we were all standing there, and they're going to jump all of us, because they didn't know K-Tone. These dudes is like 22, 23.
Yeah.
They have bloods from everywhere who didn't know who was standing there. They just want to get me,
right,
whoever was with me. And so he was like, you're a snitch, and you're calling me a snitch. We'll be over there in a minute on Bloods to fuck you up. So I clarified, like, on Bloods, you'll be over here to fuck me up in a minute. He's like, on Blood. So he was riding around on the bike, and he turned his back on me to go talk to some guys at a truck. And when he turned his back on me, we had been arguing.
Yeah.
So I had my pistol in my trunk of my car, but I wasn't going to have it on me because I didn't think they were going to try to attack me at my event because they knew it was going to be. My grandma could be there, kids.
Yeah.
All kind of people were coming.
Yeah.
But when he turned his back on me after he said that, I went to the truck, I cocked my pistol, and I put it on my hip. Mm-hmm. And I was just going to go stand back next to K-Tone and them and just stand there because I didn't know. I thought they were going to rush me, but they didn't rush me. But when I was walking back to K-Tone and to Reggie, that was the guy cooking our food, he didn't see that I had walked, and I seen him looking at K-Tone and him. He was like, where's he at? And when I was walking back, I could hear him pretty much say, like, let's get him. So it's on camera, them coming on the Halo police camera. It's on them when they're at this so-called computer repair shop when me and K-Tone pull up. So you could see them, and then when me and K-Tone pull up, you see all the Bloods come and surround us. So Mrs. Grimes, rest in peace, who just passed away. But Mrs. Grimes is at my office across the street getting interviewed on a second camera view, and you could see me go to my trunk, get the weapon, close my trunk, and then you see me walking back towards K-Tone and them, and then you see them from all areas try to converge on me, and then you can hear the shooting. Then you see them run.
They ended up rolling up on you at the peace rally.
At the peace rally, and try to rush me too.
You had to do what you had to do.
So anyways, I shot towards them all, but he ended up getting nicked on the neck. So I even made this statement because I seen it in the news, and I was thinking that it could have been true because I shot my gun 5 times, and I didn't know if he caught them all or what, but his family was saying, oh, he shot him 5 times. I didn't shoot him 5 times. He had tubes in him because he did get hurt. I shot him in the chest.
Right.
So, he fell. I was walking up to him. He was still talking because it nicked him in the neck, so you could see him fall. But then he turned over because he only got nicked in the neck. He didn't need a trach or anything. It just like nicked his neck, but he felt it nick him, so he thought he was shot.
Right.
He wasn't shot. So he turned over. He was still talking mess. I shot him in the chest. I hit him in the face with the knife. He lay back. He was like, I'm Boo Blood. Please don't kill me. I told him, you could see me standing over. I'm like, I'm not going to kill you, but you're going to lay here and shut the fuck up.
Right.
And he was like, please don't kill me. He was begging me not to shoot him. And I'm like, I'm not going to shoot you. I walked off and I had my pistol out because now all the Bloods are like, they ran now. They're like hiding behind cars that they're going to shoot back at me. So now there's volunteers and people who were there for me are starting to come.
Right.
So I'm standing there with my pistol out. He's laying there. So now there's like a crowd of people helping him out. And all these Bloods are like yelling at me, and my family members are like shoving some of the Bloods. So there's like this big chaotic scene, and then 2 police officers came from the back of the crowd. We're like, drop your weapon, drop your weapon.
And it's unfortunate because all of this is going down at the peace rally. It's supposed to be the opposite of what's taking place.
The name of the event was the One Love Black Unity Rally.
Man.
And the reason why I was doing the rally because they had moved those Bloods into the Holly, and all of this stuff was happening. The sister got killed.
Right.
The 2 Crips got killed. The police officer's sister, the 2 Crips got killed before that. The Crips was coming through the Holly. I watched them shoot a young Blood in the face. Another Crip walked into the convenience store, Junior's, walked out with a honey bun in his mouth, shot 2 Bloods.
Man.
It was going down. The Bloods were going to the 5 points, shooting at people, shooting Crips. So we were losing control of the movement.
It's just wild. Man,
this is coordinated. People do need to understand that it was something that was coordinated from not all of our police officers, because actually the police got in. They actually had. We don't have the evidence of it, but we're hearing with some credible people that even the District 2 police officer who was in charge of these informants got into a fist fight with a gang unit officer at the gang unit off of 23rd or 22nd and Carl Boulevard, because the District 2 police were working with these gang members as informants, but the gang unit wanted to lock them up, and they were in support of me defending my life.
Right.
Because all these people, the shooter circle and respect the shooter and all that, all those groups and One Love to Say and all these different people, but every black person in Denver and Aurora and Marbella I know has a gun.
Right.
But yet I do get judged for defending myself against the baby killer. And people do need to understand in Denver that this was a coordinated effort to attack the camouflage movement and to attack me as a person and as a revolutionary.
Man, it's unfortunate. I mean, like it was, again, it kind of deflated the movement and put a different stigma on it. But, as the story starts to prevail itself, the Holly, the book, the Holly, let's talk about that. and just how that came about and what kind of motivated that.
Yeah, so just to start off with, so the book is up for Colorado Book of the Year award on Saturday.
Nice.
At the Ellie Calkins Opera House. So after the shooting happened, I bonded out of jail. That weekend I bonded out. I was in jail like 3 days. They wouldn't let me bond out. They put another weapons case on me just to keep me in there. Even though I already had a weapons case, they just added an extra one. So I had to pay an extra $5,000 bond. So the incident happened that Friday. I got out that Monday. And I was getting hundreds, like the media, local media was harassing me. So what happened with that was I was looking through all these different emails, and I seen Julian Rubenstein's name because some of the reporters, I was looking them up. It was Channel 4, Fox 31, people from L.A., all kind of people. I was just deleting them. But when I looked up Julian's name, he was like, hey, I'm not a journalist with any particular news site, but I've worked for the New York Times. I've written this book. So I looked up the book. It was called Ballad of the Whiskey Robber. I seen that he had already sold the rights to that book to Johnny Depp at the time, and he was looking for like another subject. And he was like, hey, I'm from Denver. He was like, I was born in New York, grew up in Denver, but I moved back to New York to work for Men's Health, New York Times, these different outlets. And he was like, I just want to know what happened. So he flew to Denver to talk to me, and I think he was initially thinking he was just going to do another article.
Yeah.
And he was thinking I shot him maybe for no reason. Because if you look at the local media, they were talking to the Bloods and the police about my character. The same Bloods who admitted working for the police who were gangbanging were the same people they were letting speak about me in the news. And I told him this. He was like, I don't believe that. I'm like, okay, well, look it up. Sure enough, the names that were used in the Denver Post and in these media, you look it up, they're right in the Denver gang unit. I mean, you can look it up. They have all these cases. So he was blown away. And I told him, I said, I didn't shoot him out of anger because K-Tone was standing there. He testified for me in court and all of those things. I was asking him, almost begging, like, why are y'all going to hurt me? Like, you going to jump me? Because I knew what they were going to do to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, y'all going to do this to me? But I ended up trusting that he was going to tell a balanced story because I didn't need anybody to tell only my side.
Yeah.
Go talk to them too.
Yeah.
I ended up getting mad at him for
balanced narrative.
As long as you give me a true narrative, I'm coming out on top.
For sure.
So I didn't do anything. So even though I was getting slandered, people didn't know what happened. I was getting lied on. Oh, I shot him in the back. I didn't shoot him in the back. I didn't shoot him 5 times. None of those things happened. He wasn't a little boy. He was 24-year-old man, 23 or 24. He was a grown man running a street gang. Tupac was only 25 when he passed.
Right.
Biggie was 24. Munch was the same age as Tupac and Biggie. He was not a little kid. He started looking into it. Then he started hanging out with them. It took 7 years to write this book.
Wow.
So he thought it was going to be an article. He ended up getting a book deal. Some of the front money from the book deal for him to live on, he moved in with his mom and used it to do the documentary of the Holly.
Wow.
So that's when he started doing the documentary and writing the book. So he did both simultaneously.
Wow. And it's important, man. I suggest that y'all go out there and y'all please read that book and the documentary. So is that out or are you premiering it?
So the documentary already premiered at Mountain Film.
Okay.
The Mountain Film Festival a few weeks ago when it won the Audience Choice Award. So it got over like 4,000 votes, and that's anybody can vote at the Audience Choice Awards. Filmmakers, editors, subjects of films, homeless people who stumble in there, whoever. So we won hands down the Audience Choice Award, which is a huge award, and that's a pretty prestigious film festival down in Telluride. So we're just waiting, man. I'm not in charge of the movie. I'm the protagonist of the movie. I hope it can start streaming tomorrow. I'm running for mayor. It's like a $10 million commercial for me, man. Let's be honest, right? It really shows what happened to me. It corrects a false narrative about me, and it helps get my face and my name out there. The election is not until April 4th. I know that this year, within the next few months, people in Denver will get to see it. I don't have all of the information about that, so I can't release it.
It's a process,
But I'm hoping it's streaming on HBO or Netflix. Adam McKay and Todd Schulman are now the executive producers of it, and they're 2 of the biggest producers in Hollywood.
Man, well, we're
waiting. It's an award-winning film already. So.
I believe it, man. So let's I can't wrap it without talking about this. Of course, you're running for mayor.
Yeah.
Terrance Roberts is running for mayor.
Yes, sir.
Why, for one, and I know that's a broad question, but I'm gonna leave it there. Why and what inspired that?
Well, if you look at what's happening, and I care about all people in Denver because I'm going to be the mayor of all people, working class white people, rich people, the Latino community, but I'm particularly worried about the African American community. I'm not ashamed to say that. I'm not politicking around that issue. I am worried that whoever becomes the next mayor of Denver, because right now it's in the city charter, whoever's the mayor can be mayor for 3 terms, just like Michael Hancock has been mayor now almost 12 years. Whoever becomes the mayor of Denver, if they are not intentional about making the 5 Points a historic arts district, what we're doing here is art.
Right.
You're an artist. Your name is Graffiti.
Yeah, for sure.
You understand. Camouflage is art. Cripping is art. Being the blood is art. The logo of the city of Denver, all of that is art.
Right.
If we do not turn the 5 Points into a historical arts district, bring in federal dollars, make it a walkable place, not just for 5 Points Jazz Festival, not just for Juneteenth. We need people, dozens of people every day spending money, walking up and down Welton Street, or black business won't survive there. We need to do something about our homelessness issue.
Right.
Most of our violence in Denver, I was a part of the gang system for many years. I've been incarcerated. Denver is not New Orleans. Denver is not Philly. When you talk about cities like New Orleans or Philly, their violence issue is different than Denver's. Denver is a violent city, but most of our violence comes from youth. A lot of youth who are semi-homeless. Some of these youth even come from middle-class families, but they're not in their home. They're in a friend's basement in Green Valley Ranch. They're in Aurora. But once the friend's mom is like, get the hell out of my basement, I'm tired of y'all.
Yeah.
They're sleeping in stolen cars. They're hanging out downtown. Look at every weekend there's a homicide in or around Coors Field or in the downtown area. So our violence problem and our homeless issue, we can fix those issues. Denver is not an underdeveloped city.
Right.
Denver is not a city that has had devastating hurricanes and molded and rotted buildings like in the lower Ninth Ward, and the only way to survive is selling heroin and selling dope.
Right.
We can do that in Denver. Our budget in Denver is $1.49 billion. The development is already here. We have the budget here. This is a great city. It is a clean city. We can make it a safer city. If we can do something around our homelessness issue, then we can have black business under 5 Points. Then we can have it be a walkable area. Then we can work with our youth who are semi-homeless, because just because you're not sleeping in a tent does not mean you're home. Does not mean that you're not homeless.
For sure. So radical change, basically.
We need radical change, man. And like I said, the resources are here. Some cities are bankrupt.
Yeah.
There are literally bankrupt cities where the federal government has to come in, has to manage these cities, have to take them over. But Denver is not a bankrupt city. Denver is a thriving city.
Yeah.
Once we restructure, so our actual general fund is $1.49 billion, just so people who watch this know from the community. Okay, 39% of our $1.49 billion budget. Mind you, this budget, if you live in Denver, you're paying for that. If you don't pay your taxes, they're going to arrest you.
Right.
You're going to go sit in that Denver jail.
Yeah.
So you're paying hundreds of dollars, probably thousands of dollars. So we don't even pay attention to the taxes that we're paying.
Yeah, I think a lot of us in the city, especially in the inner city, like we see the things that need help, and we see what needs to change. What I do respect, because of course this is going to be a controversial campaign. We know, you're in it. You know it's going to be a uphill struggle. But what I respect is, coming from where you're from and your background and actually being in the turf, quote unquote. Like a lot of us say, oh, this needs to change. We need to do this. We need to do that. But we don't really move into the space of trying to actually make that change within, you're running for mayor, you know what I mean? Like that's a big leap.
I can't keep protesting.
That. Yeah.
I've been protesting now almost 20 years. I got out of prison in 2004, and we've gotten some laws changed. I helped draft Senate Bill 217, the police accountability law. It was supposed to be the Elijah McClain law, but now it's called Senate Bill 217. It is the first police accountability law in the nation where you can sue the police officer personally and sue the department and city. They cannot use the carotid chokehold anymore. They have to wear body cams.
Right.
All right. So I helped draft that. So we got some laws like that from protesting. There's a no-knock raid ban in Aurora, just like what happened with Breonna Taylor, what our activist friends and our comrades are trying to do still in St. Louis and other places. We've done that in Denver and Aurora. But now, if we don't do something different about our city budget, like I said, it's $1.49 billion, Graffiti. 566 million of that, almost 40% of that budget goes directly to policing. Okay, I'm not against the police.
I get it.
Okay, this is not the abolish the police campaign,
Yeah.
but this is the restructuring our public safety budget campaign. So, there's law enforcement officers who don't want to see me in office because we are not going to be having gang members working for the police department. If you've raped a woman, you won't be able to be paid with taxpayers' dollars to quote unquote stop the violence. If you've kicked the dog, if you're beating your children, if you're wearing red and blue bandanas out your pocket, you are not eligible to work for the police. Be a gangster. Write a book, write a rap. I don't know.
Right.
That's what gangsters do. And if you're a police officer, you won't be allowed to work with people. Somebody could rape a woman in your family. You could know it. Not only will you want to hurt them, Graffiti, the police will let them out of jail. They will be all in the community.
To be an informant.
But they're an activist.
Yeah, right.
You can't do that. So are we going to abolish the police when I'm mayor? Of course we're not. Federally, even though people have been protesting about that, it's not even possible. We have to have a police force, but we will be restructuring. We will be leaving our nightclubs open till 5 a.m. I think it will make our city safer and we'll get more tax dollars. Drinks will stop being served at 2 a.m., but you can eat food and hang out till 5 a.m. and you can walk around downtown with your drinks in a certain area. That's going to bring more tourism dollars. Our city is growing. Right? Stopping our nightclub activity at 1:30 to 2:30 has caused a mosh pit.
Yeah,
it has caused too much violence. Me and you were grown, and me and you and your wife and my lady or whoever wants to go have a drink till 4 a.m. Guess what? We should be able to do that. If some rappers come from L.A. or New York, they should be able to hang out downtown. If 3 Deep has an after party or something, or you guys doing something, we should be able to hang out till 5 a.m.
Right.
Also, we should have no more 3-term mayors in Denver. I am committing to cutting my own terms, doing what I can. If I could do an executive override or working with city council to change the city charter to where, from my administration beyond me, no more 3-term mayors. Even if you are a good mayor in a developed city like Denver with a $1.5 billion budget, you don't need to be the mayor for 12 years. That's why our governor is only governor for 8 years. That's why the president can only be president for 8 years.
Right.
Because that is too much power. It is a consolidation of power. So people in Denver need to understand, if Terrance Roberts is not the mayor of Denver, whoever we pick to be our next mayor, it is too hard to unseat an incumbent. Because once I'm mayor, I can make hundreds of appointments. I'm starting off with 25,000 votes because a lot of families will be eating off of the people I appoint to my media department, to my cabinet, to different administrations that are within the department, Parks and Rec, you name it. I'm going to be appointing people. Some of the people I appoint will make more money than me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I gotta stop you. You gotta wrap. But I like what you're talking, and I usually end the episode with this question, so I'm gonna ask you. There's a young T-Rob out there listening to this right now, like, man, I'm ready to make this change too. Like I wanna progress. I wanna start living different. I wanna run for mayor one day.
Yeah.
What's the piece of advice that you would tell him?
Start working on it right now. You can do it. If I can do it, I was out there.
Yeah.
I was addicted to the violence, to the drama, to the trauma, because I didn't know anything besides that. I was never really that good of a rapper or dope dealer or a hooper. But I could be angry and fight, and I could go to jail. I was good at going to jail and fighting and stuff like that. And if I can pull myself away from that energy and that anger, because it is energy.
Yeah.
I could have walked in here today just like this, and this would be a totally different interview. And I'm like, hey, how y'all doing?
Right.
So if I could get away from that energy, man, and get away from that, then any person can do it. If you want to be mayor of Denver, hit me up. I'm learning myself. I'm not the mayor yet.
Yeah.
I do believe I am going to be the mayor. We do believe that I have a good shot at this election. It's going to take people donating. It's going to take brothers like yourself, and I do need the black community to get behind me. It's not just going to be me winning.
For sure.
But I do believe that the support is there.
Absolutely.
Even if it's not shown. So that's my advice. If you want to do it, but you have to separate yourself, man. Start today, but You can't be a gang member and be the mayor, man. You got to have the strength to get away from that, because no one wants to see that, man. The Crips can't put you in office. No disrespect to the Crips or the Bloods. There's not enough Bloods who vote that's going to put you in office. You need to talk to the Bloods' mom. You need to talk to the aunties. What are you going to do for the babies?
Yeah.
You know, what are you going to do for even the Crips or the Bloods who are active gang members? Because they need to work too. They're a part of our community.
Right.
And that's the thing. We want to eradicate gangs and stuff. But then the gang members are our community members.
Yeah.
They're our cousins, our sons, our brothers, us sometimes. So the tribalism will be there. But if you can't you talking about a young T-Rob, if a young T-Rob or a young person who's like me cannot transcend that eventually, cannot pull away, even though you're going to get mocked and ridiculed. If you're not ready to get mocked and ridiculed from leaving a demonic situation, then you definitely not ready. I get slandered every day.
Yeah.
There's people who make up memes about me.
Gotta have tough skin.
People
man.
I've never met make up stories about me.
Yeah.
And some of it still affects me. Like, you know, but I've been through so much leaving the gangs, getting slandered in the news over these 18 years to where
you built for it, brother.
Oh man, we laugh at that. We share it.
Yeah.
I will share some stuff like, man, look what they said about me. So that's my advice, man. If I'm built for it, you're built for it.
I appreciate it. Can you tell people real quick just how to support the campaign, where to find you, how to follow what you're doing? So,
Save Our City Denver. Go there, or Terrance Roberts for mayor. Those are the two ways to get to my website. SaveOurCityDenver.com, TerranceRobertsForMayor.com. I need even a $5 donation, $10. If you live in the city and county of Denver, they will times it times 9. So a $5 donation becomes a $50 donation because they'll give me another $45.
Right.
A $50 donation becomes a $500 donation because they'll give us $450, which makes it $500 with the initial $50.
Yeah.
So get involved this Friday at the Web Building on Colfax. We are doing a protest for Alexis Mendez-Perez, Bring a Teddy Bear. It's at 3:30. We'll be there for about an hour. We're just going to go show support for the Alexis Mendez-Perez family. This young man was shot in his back by a correctional officer for hanging out in a vacant house in Montbello, next door to the correctional officer's house. He jumped the fence. The correctional officer shot him in the back, killed him, and shot another youth. So come out and support Friday at 3:30. Save Our City. Denver.com. Make a small donation, even if it's $5. All of that counts for letters, for anything. No donation is not appreciated.
It's all appreciated.
Come to my events, man. We just had a great showing at Juneteenth. We were in the Juneteenth parade. We got a lot of love. We were walking down the street. My son was on the bullhorn saying, "Vote for Terrance." Man, people were cheering for me.
Yeah,
it was great to get that kind of love.
You got support from the city, man. So again, man, we could go on, but I'm gonna have you back. Yeah. But I appreciate your time.
Thank you,
Terrance Roberts, man. You are appreciated, brother.
Oh man, I appreciate you. Thanks for having me on.
My guy.
Cool.